Oh yeah. All right. It's we're starting the stream, so. All right, everybody. It is currently May 13th, 2018. It is a Sunday, and everybody turn in their homework. Come on. Otherwise, you fail. You're supposed to learn. You're supposed to learn on this Education by Ed the information that we send out, the information that Ed graciously informs you. And he is not a lawyer. He is not an attorney. None of us are. We are not professionals in any way. We just learn ourselves, and we want to share the information free of charge. We are not asking you to pay for this information because it's free. Information is always free. So, with that, Ed, why don't you let them know what you're planning to do for today?
Okay, thank you. I would like to thank everybody joining us and those that are going to join in afterwards and putting this stuff together. I want to also to start off by thanking Mike. We got the template out. I've sent that out to people already. I got to add some more things into it, but your states, the foreign request laws, I got the federal request laws there. So that way, we're going to do this correctly. Ask them for the information on the flag. What does it mean in their jurisdiction and their structure? And that's the one thing that people we're working on this. People are catching on more and more and more. I've been keeping my eyes on the internet the last week. A lot more people are opening their eyes up and speaking out compared to some of these other groups. Like these national groups are getting people going different directions. People are finally followed them speaking out because they just keep people in trouble. And that's the one thing that we don't want to do that to you guys. We want to make sure that we don't set ourselves up by their corporation mind game by religion, or we're not going to do it to us, so we're not going to do it to you. So that's the one point. I got some information I do plan on reading. I got out. I've been getting some responses back with the last couple talk shows I did on the birth certificate and the structure of that with the bond, and including with William Jefferson Clinton's executive order, where he stated that all men and women are human property of the alleged corporation government of the Vatican of 1871 contract, religion contract with our government, the real government, compared to the de facto. And the only reason why the de facto ended up in the place they were was because, oh, that's right, it was for jobs, so that way we could keep an eye on the terrorists that came in our country, so we employed them to protect us under the Constitution. When you actually step out and read these structures and you start comprehending that, yes, we know the 14th Amendment was never ratified. And yes, we do know the 14th Amendment was passed administratively. The same thing with people will say, well, the 16th Amendment was passed. That was passed administratively back after the Bankruptcy Act. And if you actually read the laws going back the way it was passed, how it was passed, the circumstances of it being passed. And so under that, human capital, William J. Clinton, Executive Order 13037. And that was the same time that he took the employees' payroll of Social Security and gave it to the Queen of England. Your Congress just took $2.9 billion from Social Security and pocketed it with the British government. And that follows under Clinton's order signing the workman's comp over to the Queen of England of the employee paid. They can't sign yours over because it's Constitution. That's proven in the 1937 court case and administratively. That's the one thing that people don't realize. Social Security was not set up for immigrants anywhere, period. Doesn't matter if they're in this country. Doesn't matter if they're 2, 3, 4, or 5, 4 generations. It was set up for lawful Americans only. That's where the privilege becomes a right. That's where the okay, yeah, I'll get that to you. Yes, I'm going to be getting that out here in just a minute. So, to let everybody know, I will be emailing everybody here shortly after I get a few more things caught up here. I'm putting together the other instrument for the flag as we're going on. So definitely everybody will get a copy of it. I guarantee it, because we want to get it out this week, because next week, next Saturday, we would like to get responses back from senators and elected public servants on this, and so we can start posting it next week. So yes, definitely, just to clarify, sometime tonight, everyone will get a copy of it, because I got to finish. We've got the one-page little brief paragraph done, but I got to put all the laws in it for each state below it, you know, and dealing with your senators and House Representatives, and some of the emails I have on links, and some of them I don't. So as soon as I get this put together, and also too, I got the federal organizations, and that is one thing to bring up with the federal organizations that you want to. Well, I'm going to be emailing them and sending this to, and ask them to clarify, including the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. So yeah, I will have this out to everybody. Have patience. You'll see it. Everybody will get a copy. And so there's nobody's that it, you know, and it's going to be posted on all my Facebook walls, or our Facebook walls, I should say. That will be posted as soon as I finish it up. So we'll get that out, and definitely I'll get the link. So we'll post it on people's Facebook walls and stuff like that. So everybody will get a copy of it. And so anyhow, it's just interesting, and I want to bring up another point. It's interesting because there's a lot of stuff that I brought up last night dealing with Ann von Ritz. You know, like I said, I put that letter out to 100 people since yesterday, and to another couple big groups, and that are dealing with this with Larry B. Kraft. We're going out to Larry B. Kraft on improving taxes. And so, anyhow, Larry B. Kraft, the attorney, you can type that in. So I emailed him her response to him and to Bob Hurt. And so I didn't get a chance to call Bob Hurt up, but I plan on doing that tomorrow, because I'm not going to do it after tonight, because it'll be too late, because, you know, we're his time zones. But this is the one thing that we're putting together. These things are coming to light. We're getting the information. We're getting people starting to stand together. And this is the beauty of it. Now, we start getting this all information back on the court system of the flags. You know, what the Goldfinch flag is in the senator's office and in the buildings, the school buildings, those type of things. So when we're going to see what kind of responses we get back. Some probably won't respond, but there'll be a lot of ones that will respond, because they're going to go, well, some of them actually might not even know, and so they'll want to excuse me, jump in and get that point themselves. Again, grab my inhaler. So, but I mean, we've got the things out there, so they're coming. And like I said, if it wasn't for Mike, it was nice. Mike got the other part of this put together. So, and I'll finish this one up with all the other links, and we'll get that out. But see, the one thing is a lot of people are following TRA and these other ones that are going by national structures. There's a couple of other ones that say, well, we have our own bank structure, so sign the contract with us and our bank, give us your Social Security, and then we'll have all this money for you, unlimited. And I've tried to get some of these people on this education show for prove it to us, and I keep emailing these people, writing letters, prove it. But they know technically a sucker is born every day, so that's what they're going off of. So, and that is the saddest part of it all right now, is that these people do what they do, and they end up screwing us. And they screw themselves. See, that's the saddest part. So, like I said, the one thing that's been really good going over the birth certificate structure, how we're technically slaves under that structure, under the 14th Amendment that was never ratified. So when you start putting these points together, this is the thing that I find amazing with people, because sometimes people want to be out there whining and complaining, but they don't want to listen. And trust me, I've been through that with literally hundreds of people. Literally hundreds of people. And it's like you give them the information, they don't want to do anything. They much rather sit on the couch and watching TV, and not everybody's out smoking dope or getting drunk. People just sometimes just glaze off on a TV set. So, let's just be realistic. Some people have a hard time dealing with reality because the way that they were brought up. Yes, it is not an excuse, but then again, that's where compassion and caring comes in from the general public. That's what we're supposed to do, is show compassion. If we are, we are, and if we're not, we're not. It's cut and dry. It's simple instead of us going around in circles. So putting the structure out for the flag, I want to thank one gentleman who actually put the boot to it, you could sort of say, to kick it off. And so that is the one point that we want to bring up with that when we start getting this information, folks, we got to be realistic. They start proving what we know about the flag, and we've got it certified, or even with their own letter, with their own autograph or signature. Even though it's rowboat, that's the other point. What are they going to do? Say they never did it from their office when it could be traced electronically? So that is the point of looking at these things that we're dealing with, these circumstances. And so, we have solutions to our problems. We are winning these things. We really are. And that's the point that people have got to, we're working on these things, and it is coming through. I got many people in other states that I've talked to. Some not always can join on Sunday because they work Sundays. But we are getting the information, and with the information out, we are getting the stuff. So it becomes a real solution to the problems. And this way, it's not a circumstances of whining and crying. And when you put a petition in, everybody goes, well, we want to petition this, and we want to go after this and petition it. Well, and you understand what a penal code petition is. It's a whiner. It's basically saying that you're not responsible, so you just want to whine about what's going on. And most people don't get that. And we do have the information that if you are getting Social Security, disability, or anything that way, we do have that post up. Even employers do not have the authority to take taxes out of your check. We do have the exemption form for Social Security that you can fill out where it says taxpayer's name. Taxpayer's name is not your name. It's called the Social Security number. So that is the point. They put those forms together. It is reading the forms of what they mean compared to what people want to interpret the forms as. That's how they get around, skirting around it. So the person's name, you have to be realistic, is the Social Security number. It is not a physical name that we think of as a physical name. So these are the things that are very interesting and disturbing to a lot of people when they don't figure it out and they want to argue with themselves or argue with others. And it's like I said, our forefathers sat back when they were putting together this structure for us and bringing this structure together. And, and all the Democrats have been out there arguing while the other honorable men and women behind the scenes have been putting this stuff together that gives you your rights, ensures your rights to the Superior Court. And so, and it is, when you go into a court system, you want a copy of that judge's oath. If you don't get a copy of that judge's oath, what's the point of you being there? So you have to go to another courtroom. I do recommend that people take their court cases, and definitely bring them out in different other venues. I definitely would challenge the jurisdiction and also to request to have it taken to the federal court system, Article 3 court systems. Hang on. And it's reading what an Article 3 court system is compared to what we are allegedly told by the wrongful education media. Because when we always end up in court in the city and county and state, those are Article 1, foreign agent registration, British tribunal, maritime court, whatever you want to call them. That's why we want to get a clarification of the flag. We get a clarification of the flag, that stops all the other arguments going around. So that's why it is going to be a real participation event on this, because everybody who's in each state and stuff, we need your help. Because if we could prove the flag one way or the other, I mean, that's just made it so much easier and so much safer for everybody else involved. And it's just one of those things, protect thy own butt. And so when we do that, we conquer a lot more. So, and then, like I said, with the flag, I might as well get into some of that. I did get some other information. Let me go over. I want to bring up this. I haven't fully done the research. Mike passed this on to me. And so, and this is another one we're talking about doing and bringing up to the attention. And so I'll pull this up because I have not done the true reading of it, but I did get what Mike was talking about, so I want to bring this up to you. This is Title 10 USC 253. Now I'll go over here and I'll pull this up. I want to bring this up because he was dealing with, no, is Mike on with us by any chance? Is Mike on with us? Hello?
No, he's not on with us at the moment. As far as I can see, he's not.
Okay. Okay, so anyhow, 10 USC code 253 is interference from the state and federal laws. So this comes under use of military and armed forces to enforce federal authority under the Constitution, and that falls under the structure with immigration and Donald Trump, because Donald Trump under USC Code 1182 does have the legal and lawful authority under the Constitution to protect us from any and all immigrants. And so going through the Lieber Code, that's the other point. Once we get this one done on this one here, specifically, dealing with the birth certificate on the flag, or not the flag issue, then when Mike was talking about, let's move on this with the Lieber Code, so that way we can sit there and have them prove one way or the other. What are they going to stand for on their decisions or the court's decisions? So it is a good, valid point. So I figured, okay, let's get the first one done, because we get the flag issue resolved primarily. I mean, that's going to change a lot of things in major courts across the states. I mean. And that's the one thing that we want to make sure that these things are changed across the state, so that way there is no conflict. And that is the one thing we want to make sure, that the children are protected. If people are talking about, we're tired of our children being stolen by CPS, well, now you have the education and information not to have them stolen. So file your rights, own your bloodline, start standing up and be an American, and quit whining like these churches and all this other stuff that, you know, people are not standing up for themselves. And it's really hard, because I remember we're growing up in the Bay Area when people used to stand up for themselves. And, you know, when somebody was down or needed assistance, somebody was always there. Nobody sat there and argued and fought with each other, as was portrayed by the past, present media. I mean, I grew up in downtown, and people were saying the Mission Street was so this or that. In the late 90s and 2000. It wasn't like that. I grew up down there. And I hung out in Mission Street. I used to take the bus up and down Mission Street all the time. So, I mean, that's the one thing that gets to me when these people go on these little questionable things in their life and attacking people or bringing these things up that are saying they have merits when they don't. So it's very important on these issues to bring these facts up. It's very important. So anyhow, what I would like to do is I'm going to open up the floor on this, start getting responses. I got to dive in and getting this thing finished with the rest of the links to it for the Department of Justice, because eventually, once we get the information, we'll discuss that at that time. The next thought to bring forward here on that. And then, Mike, we will be referring, because I figured you would have been here by now, but we will be referring on the information that you did send me. So that way it's not a questionable circumstances. So that way people do comprehend on that, because we need to nail the Lieber Code. And you're not the only one that's mentioned that to me. And there's several other gentlemen that have done that themselves, going after it. So, I mean, our point is that, let's get the main part. Let's get this thing circumvented, so that way we know what it actually means in the office of the county commissioners, in the Senate, the House, and so that way there's not another conflict. And also, too, John Lamb, we'd like to wish your better half a happy Mother's Day, seeing that you're still incapacitated in the hospital, and that's a frustrating thing in life, period. And trust me. And the other point you're not going to like, it's called chronic pain. Trust me. It's one of those things, but it's part of life. So, and then when the system denies you medication because they say that you don't have a right to it, because you're supposed to die and suffer in pain. And, of course, that's part of what the medical structure is doing today, telling people that if you don't prescribe to our drug programs, do what we tell you, you are to die. And I even have that confirmed by the Oregon Pain Center, which I'm getting ready to finish that letter out and make public on that one here shortly, too. I will be doing that one, because I'm going after them, because, see, their whole thing nowadays is to make people pain and suffer. And like I mentioned, in Oregon, if you are in any state hospital or old folks home or anything like that that's funded by any part of the state, Medicare, let me tell you, Medicare and all that, they passed administrative bills in Oregon to starve these people basically starve them to death is what it comes down to. Literally just starve them to death. So that is the saddest part that we're dealing right now, because these people, men and women, are telling you that you have no right to life. If you're not paying into their system and doing what you're told in their religious beliefs, you're not entitled to have a life. And that's exactly what they're telling you. So that's what gets to me, it's like the black robe judges, and everyone wonders about that. Why do you think they call them black robe judges? Why do you think they call black robe popes? Because they do have a structure of black robe popes. And the black robe popes are your basic judges. I mean, it's all in the research. So, and it's all dealing with the circumstances coming down that has been publicly stated and done. So, and then the other thing is, it's scary because people are waking up to the food that's in their children, especially cereal, with actual iron shavings in the cereal for what iron is. And so that is the one thing. The lawsuits are starting up on those type of things. So that is an interesting thing. We'll be keeping an eye on that and posting people on that, on what is truly going on with these lawsuits, if they are actually doing it on injured parties structure or the corporation structure. So, and that's the one thing with the deal with the oil fields and all that. People are going, how do we deal with that? It's simple. You have to go after the board members. They are personally liable for that. They're the only ones personally liable for that. You cannot sue a corporation or a corpse. Sometimes you can get lucky, but it's hard to kick a dead horse or a dead animal when it's already dead. It ain't gonna do no good after that point. So when you're dealing with a corpse is what it means. And so it is interesting what's going around, and so long as that people are filing, there are criminal charges on these men and women. I did put up a video. I will find it and get that video up too on a New.Oregon Tracker site, because I think that video needs to be put up there for the circumstances that people need to know how to sue their cops and the judges, and we are getting more and more information. I did put up the United States Attorney's handbook, how to sue attorneys and judges and stuff like that, and that is their own book to do it. That is done through their court system. So we have solutions to these problems. We are getting more and more educated on these things, getting them out. And so that is the one thing that is really helping us. And then I have noticed on Facebook, I've been watching and paying attention. We do got some young kids out there in their late teens and early 20s that are responding around and picking up on this. They're still trying to grasp some of their own mind about some of the structure. So it is one of those things that it does take work. It does take effort, and takes a lot of people to do this stuff, so that way it doesn't become a burden to somebody else. It actually becomes where we're all sharing it, but we're bringing it to life. So because of that, we're bringing it to life. This way people can see what's going on. So, and that is the one point. So I'm going to see if Mike is on, because I wanted to bring him in. I thought he was supposed to be joining us, but I haven't seen him yet.
Nope, so, he's still not here.
No, that's why I'm sending a message.
Well, do you want me to open up the floor, or are you just going to keep talking?
Yeah, hang on a second. Let me get Mike, see if I get Mike first. Hang on a second. Because I wanted to bring this up at the flag with him, because we were discussing this before, and I figured he would have been here. So that's the one thing that I'm trying to figure out, So we'll see what his response is. So sorry for the delay, folks. 715. Still sitting here. Okay, hang on a minute. What is it? I gotta remember the number a minute. 0. What is that last 4 again? Let me just go over the sheet.
0864.
Thank you. That's what I was.
And the participant code is 995745.
Yeah. So, all right. So we'll see if Mike joins us. Yeah, we do want to get the floor open on people's responses to this. Like I said, I'm going to be posting it up on every Facebook site that I can. And so, and then Mike posted the structure up on his structure on CanLaw. So he's got that up there. Then we've also got 5 CFR 2635.101, basic obligation to public service. And see, they already have this stuff up there in administrative rules. So when they've got this stuff up there, and I'm going to go get that, and we'll get that posted, they've got the stuff, but see, we have to quit whining and crying that these people ain't doing their jobs. We got to start being men and women and going, all right, here's what your job description is. You're doing it or you're fired. And people say you can't get public servants fired. Oh, yes, trust me. We can get them fired. And I know how to do that. I have actually done that before, and I have actually recalled public employees. So when people tell you, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, well, I have a little surprising news for them on that fact. Yes, you can. And so that's the one thing that when we start putting these things and getting this information out, this is the whole point. We want to see what they're doing because, people are waking up. We know that. We've seen the mainstream media bringing things out. So saying that the mainstream media is finally starting to crack open here a little bit, let's help them and let's bring the rest of it open. So anyhow, yeah, if Mike ain't here, let's just open up the floor.
Ed.
The floor is yours.
Oh, what do you want me to talk about?
Well, there we go. That's where, I was just bringing out, we got the template out. Then I'm going to be putting together the structure with all the emails for the states and that stuff with the rest of it, with the laws below it. But we're going to run with that, the one that you just sent me, correct?
Yeah.
And then, so I'll put all the laws and all the other structure below it in it. So that way they have that. They have the email even to the 1938 Foreign Registration Act of the federal government. So then that way they'll get a copy of this because we got to ask them too. They're going to get a copy of it. So we're going to open up. We get this thing out. This thing is going to open up. So anyhow, do you have any questions, or you got anything you want to add to it? I just brought up what you just brought up too on CFR 2635.101, basic obligation of public service. I'm posting that on the Facebook sites. I do recommend that people actually sit down and read it.
There's another form I'd recommend too. If you go to the citizensactionnetwork.info website, on the court info tab, if you go down to attorneys and click on that, the second PDF is the violation of rights warning notice that goes into Title 18 USC 241, 242, and 245. And 245 is important because it's your federally protected activities, which is the Constitution and life, liberty, and happiness. So I think people should check that and use it.
Okay, hang on a minute. Let me go back to this. And what was the numbers on that again?
On the website?
Yeah, I got it. Actually, let me go. Why don't you send me a link real quick on Messenger so I can post that up on the sites.
Okay.
And then we'll get that out, and I'll share that with everybody too. I'm going to share this with our friends over in Florida too.
In our Facebook.
Huh?
It's in the Facebook chat.
Okay. I'm going to message right now. Okay, so I got that.
The file I sent you is the original off a Justice Department website, but I've modified them to add notice to agent as notice to principal because it's a violation of rights warning notice.
Correct.
So I just fleshed in some parts I noticed that were missing.
Okay.
And then I changed citizen to rights of people under color of law.
Excuse me. Yeah, I gotcha. So let me get this posted up. Let me get these other three posted up. And this is the whole point, folks, when we're doing this and educating ourselves and our children in these things. What are they going to do? Argue with us? Like I said, they wrote it. We're just bringing up their words. We cannot use their structure in a certain fashion way because they are copyrighted. But we're not copywriting it. They wrote it, and they're supposed to be publicly funded and paid with our money that they claim, so they cannot be a private corporation by the Constitution and our treaties. So, all right, I'm getting ready to post that. So what else would you like to add into that? I got into the point where dealing with Executive Order 100 that you were talking about would be the next one that you were suggesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because
so what is your further thoughts on that one?
Well, it's interesting that we recognized 1776 as our holiday, but executive orders weren't. We didn't write the first executive order until 1861 when Abraham Lincoln wrote Executive Order 100.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that people should look into that and find out why.
Well, we'll get a point up there for that.
But it's,
Because, and that's the other point. We'll get that when we send that letter out to all the House and Senators. Let's give this one out, give it 7 days, and then we'll get the other one out. Because within 7 days of people getting it out, we should get some response. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I'm putting that form up for violation, warning, denial rights up. I'm putting that form up right now on our sites.
And if you look at the letter at the bottom of it, it basically references an Army manual, and it says in there that you're supposed to bring your correct flag with you into court.
And say what order is that one again?
It's on the bottom of the letter, the original letter that was posted. Title 36 USC 173, and
hold on a minute. Let me get title. Say that again.
Title 36 USC 173.
Display and use of flags by civilians. Got it.
Yeah, so I've been sending in the civil flag on all my court filings by certified mail with the notary proof of service, and I caught the court throwing out exhibits in a case that I was court watching on. So the only reason we were able to hold them accountable is because we had sent the documents certified mail, and we had the notary proof of service form in there.
Right. Yeah, well, that's a big issue too. Is make sure you got that proof of service.
Yeah, that's why I'm recommending everybody needs to start using it, because the loophole that the courts use against us is that we don't use the declaration of service, and that they use a declaration of service, which in my opinion is de facto, because they're all de facto officers of a de facto court. But the notary proof of service is different because the notary is the common law ministerial officer upon the land. So I use them and have them certified mail the documents to the court that way, and then describe the contents of what's being mailed, because that's the other loophole the court uses, is that they don't know what you sent because they don't know what was in the package. So we've
Well, isn't it nice how they come up with these interesting techniques?
Yeah, to find out that we're enforcing a foreign corporation. I mean, we're letting them rule us locally like this. It's ridiculous.
Right. And I mean, and like, how foolish could we be when doing this? But a lot of us weren't properly educated in this stuff.
I don't think any of us were. I had no idea.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's why I always preach. Until you start reading this stuff, you don't know.
And when I was a kid, I remember up until at least 6th grade doing the Pledge of Allegiance in schools. I don't remember high school, but it was the regular American flag, red, white, and blue. But nowadays in the local schools, they all fly the French flag, and I never figured out why until we were talking earlier about the post office and posts and outposts.
Right. Yeah, and that was interesting because bring up what you were saying about the schools.
Well, the schools fly a fringed flag with the gold fringe, same as all the other public offices, and they're not supposed to. They should have the regular stars and stripes. Technically, they should have the original de jure silver flag apiece, but that seems to have been phased out when they took the gold in 1933 and switched us to the stars and stripes, which we now recognize as the peace flag. But anyways, the schools are at peace, and they're training children. So if they're at peace training children, why are they under a military flag of occupation?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any sense to me. So I want to bring it up to the school board about why is this flag flying in our schools.
Right. So I agree with you there, and I think everybody else could agree with you there too. But let's get the first one with the Senate and House, then we can start hitting the other ones to bring that through. Because once we start getting one and we start unraveling with some people like to say the metrics, we already got a lot of it unraveled, but the point is that we need to have more factual evidence on these facts.
Certified evidence, yeah.
Yeah, certified. Thank you for the correction.
Yeah, because if it's certified, you can enter it into a court case.
That's right. Very true. And that's where people need to comprehend that when you go to court, everything has to be in evidence form. It cannot be hearsay. When you go into court and you open your mouth and you're singing, that's hearsay. It is not admissible in court.
There's also something else that a lot of people don't know. When you make a public record with the county clerk and they unstaple your documents to scan them, they're voiding your documents per the Secretary of State's office. When you have a document notarized with the jurat, the notary is to staple the jurat to the document packet with the original staple. And I found that out when I recorded my lien against my attorney. The clerks took the staples out and scanned everything, and I explained to them why they're not supposed to do that.
Right, because they destroyed the instrument by separating it.
Yeah, so I should have sent them a bill.
Yeah, and that's the other point too, is that we'll get some. We're working on getting more samples up there so people could realize how to send them a bill. Because like I was working on years ago that I never followed through that I want to, is like when you register your vehicle, well, the state owns it, so they're liable technically for the maintenance to it. It's what it really comes down to it. Does that make sense?
Well, the Minnesota codes seem to be a lot more in depth than California codes, and their public officials have a lot more accountability. And you can look through the Minnesota revised statutes and find the codes to go after public officials who you violated your rights and send a bill in. So there's got to be something for every other state too that's similar. We just have to locate it. So you don't even have to go to court. You just have to find the codes, build your complaint, and then send it to the treasurer or the tax auditor's office, I would think.
Well, yeah, because like I said, with my situation, because I haven't heard back from the county, now I'm going to start sending my stuff to, I got to go nail the state attorney general and the state treasury. And then after that, I got to get the other filing with the Secretary of State. So, it is putting it together. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, hours and hours.
Oh, yeah, I know. I mean, I was up until 6:30, 7 o'clock this morning, getting the other emails out for everything else I said I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have fun with a lot of these people, where they keep going, with these so-called drug deals. It's like, you got to realize we didn't have the drug epidemic until they went after and made it basically illegal and put these hardened ships into it.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, nobody gave a damn. Yeah. Now everybody makes some money off of turning somebody in.
Well, people are starting to give a damn now.
Well, I know, because they're realizing if they don't give a damn, they have no rights.
Yeah.
They're losing their children and stuff, and they're starting to figure out because they're losing their children because of by them standing silent. So, I mean, it's just, and we got a lot of these groups out there on the internet that are trying to get people educated or tell people how to go about things. But, just stay away from people's thoughts and theories, especially when people want to charge you, $2,500 and they're going to save you. I haven't seen that happen to anybody yet.
Yeah, there was a guy, Anthony Mendez, recently that said that he was the secured party creditor with the valid process and milking people for money, and he's gone now.
Oh, yeah, and I've seen a lot of these people that just say they're all this and that, but then all of a sudden, where'd they go? What happened to them?
Yeah.
We watch it all the time. We see it happening all the time. That's the one thing, there's a lot of us that are still here. We're still fighting the same game. But we're putting more and more of the pieces together, and we're putting this stuff up so people can get this educated and accepted out, so that way they can see the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, because me and Dave are still waiting for a response dealing when we filed that we were dead or alive. We wanted them to prove it. So, I mean, we haven't heard from them, so I guess we're still telling the facts on that one.
Yeah.
And then, bringing out the truth and the facts with the birth certificate bond and everything else that they're claiming going against. But, yeah, I did get that Title 10 USC 253 out, and well as 36 USC 2, and got that posted out. So we're getting the information. People are reading this stuff, so we know that they're picking up. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to start this email structure on this, because, like I said, when I did that, a couple other ones I've been successful on. Even got from the Senate and House members that wasn't certified, but I got the email saying that Article 1, Section 10 is the law of the land. So I didn't get it certified, but like I said, I have a lot of unique circumstances up at the Oregon State House and Senate. And, of course, I'm waiting to see what happens with McCain, too, because don't forget, when you go back in history, President Richard Nixon was the one who pardoned McCain, or McCain would have been executed for treason to the country. So when people say that about McCain, they are telling the truth.
Oh, about the USS Forrestal?
Yeah, the whole thing, the whole fraud back then, and we can't forget Watergate was all part of that crap.
Well, that's where Hillary was disbarred, was Watergate, because
she
stole documents and evidence.
Mm-hmm. And then she got covered up for that by the House and Senate, covered up for her because everybody was making deals back then.
But McCain, in addition to the USS Forrestal, I found some information a while back that suggests that he was not a prisoner in the Hanoi Hilton, as previously stated.
Yeah.
And that he was active in working against American POWs, against getting them sent home, and some of them were actually murdered because of his actions.
Yeah, no, that's true. That did come out. That one of his files got exposed.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and so we're waiting to see the rest of it.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to use that, he's got brain cancer and he's got this tumor, and if he's so sick, what the hell is he doing in the House and Senate right now for anyways?
Well, what's funny is how come every time these guys, quote-unquote, lawyer up, nobody's holding them accountable to corpus juris secundum, that they're now wards of the court and they're incapable of holding office?
Right. Right, and not only that, they need a physician's note to do it.
That's funny.
Because remember, a physician is recommended to them, not us.
Yeah. I gotta clean up from the kids. They had a dog show today, so I gotta unload the car.
Well, yeah, I know you had that, and you had the kid's birthday. Wasn't that today too?
We had a dual birthday party with 18 kids here yesterday, and then Dakota had a dog show today where he showed two different shows. He was ranked. My 11-year-old son he was ranked 12th in the AKC Junior Handlers nationally, and he won today again. So I don't know what he's at now, but he moved up again.
Okay. All right, so we'll catch up on you. I'll get this one finished up. You got the one that we started. We'll start getting this one moved out. I will have it out to people tonight, and that with the circumstances of federal law, state laws, so that way we have the actual administrative rules in it. So what are they going to do? They could deny it, but then again, there's a way of forcing them to do it through the State Attorney General's office and the FOIA request in Washington, D.C. Okay, and then I got a couple other ones that just popped up. I'll get them posted up on the wall here. So, and okay, and then anyhow, all right, so we still got the phone open, don't we?
Yep.
So, all right, well then, I got Southern that brought up a point that we know you're on the call. I got you on that one. But you got a cop of the flag doc. Now, is that what you just sent me, or is that what I'm working with now?
All participants are unmuted.
No, what I just sent you is how this whole thing started under Henry Knox back in 1790. You need to look this up, and you need to...
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Okay, I got it. We'll get that passed on. Go ahead and finish what you're saying.
Yeah, this is where this whole thing with the militia got started. All right, they created the militia in 1775, okay, with the Articles of War. But in 1790, this thing came into the states. All right, the reason you had that flag flying in them schoolhouses is because those schools are actually under the military.
Right. Yeah, that's what Mike was saying.
Yes. All right, there's a plan out there. I'll see if I can relocate it again. It's the entire plan to set up the military in the militia, I don't want to use military, in the United States from 1790, approved by George Washington and Congress.
Yeah,
Correct.
using the zip code.
Yeah.
Yeah, using the zip code. That's what me and Mike were talking again today on.
No, this is 1790. It was long before there was any zip code. They
No,
already
we
had
know
this
that.
stuff
We're
in place.
talking about how they're progressing and using it today.
Oh, okay.
We're talking how they're implementing it right now on
Yeah,
us
because
without our knowledge.
The post office is the actual military quote unquote post, and then that would make the school an outpost.
Mm-hmm. Because see, the post office are all outposts, like the military posts were done across the country in the 1800s. And let's not forget, those military bases did turn into post offices. And back then, you could ship a child across the country for a dime. Was it a dime or a dollar? I think it was a dime. But I mean, you know, we already know the history of human trafficking. So I'm getting that posted up on my walls as well right now, Southern. So, and a couple other ones I've got open. Because like I said, and then I'll get you that too, because let me get everything put together into one structure so I get it out to everybody, and just instead of putting it out, because I want to make sure they have the laws, administrative rules, the states and everything together. I'm trying to do it in one, so that way I don't have to redo it for everybody. Does that make sense?
Yep. And with that, I gotta let you go.
Okay, Mike, I will catch up with you soon. We'll chat tomorrow. We got that going, so we'll get up. And then as soon as we get this thing pumped out, the next week I want to start setting up so we get on the one for the Executive Order 100, and then I'm going to be putting one together, a short one-pager dealing with the rights to travel in Oregon with their own administrative rules.
Okay, cool.
So,
have a good night, you guys.
All right, we'll catch up with you, Mike. So, cool. All right, so and then we'll get this going, because like I said, I'll get you a copy of it, too, and I'm putting this digital history up right now. I sent that forward so we could get that put up in history of the Civil War era that we have up, because we are getting more and more responses. I am getting more and more emails from people or responses through Messenger. I had one lady, I don't know if she joined us tonight. She was dealing with a situation in the county, they've been harassing her and her husband, and I've been trying to get them to comprehend certain things, but I don't know where they're at right now on that. I tried to get her to bring some of the information forward tonight, and trust me, once they start getting certain forms they can't argue with, they do respond back to you. Sometimes either responding, or next thing you know, you never hear from them, and then they resign. And so that is one thing people do, resign quite frequently out of these offices. And so we'll take a resignation any day of the week. So I'm getting that, or you already got that. Why am I going to post that up on your wall? You're the one who gave it to me. So, but anyhow, I just want to make sure that we got that covered. So we know where we're on the deal. I'm putting this up on Mike's stuff. So we know where we're at with this fact right now. So anybody got any further comments or questions or any other ideas on the way we're doing this? No other comments? Okay. Well, seeing that we got no comments, I mean, we got a lot of this set up and ready to go. We are going to go nail this stuff with the birth certificate. That is already being filed. I've got a filing with that one that I'm actually going to do in the Secretary of State and the State Attorney General here in Oregon. I will be getting that one filed. It's interesting, I brought up dealing with Lars Larson and the candidates that are running for Republican governor. I will be including them in the emails and structures. And don't forget, we have a surgeon that is running for governor. who keeps trying to tell people he fights for people who are in chronic pain. I know the man. I've sat down and talked to him. What kind of bullshit is he trying to convince the general public? I mean, because it's like these doctors when it comes to people in chronic pain, because chronic pain basically is a death sentence too. Like it's a terminal illness like cancer. And so it really gets to me when people don't, and these doctors are out there saying that everybody's out there for drugs and alcohol and all this stuff is bullshit, because if they don't keep you controlled, they cannot take your land and your home and your bank accounts with your dishonest mayors, city councils, state attorney generals, district attorneys. These men and women know what they're ripping off from you. They truly know what they are doing. So when these people try to tell you, a cop says, well, I don't know that. Oh, you served a cop, because yes, they do know it. So don't sit there and allow them to tell you that you don't know what is going on in the circumstances. That's a bunch of hogwash. They do personally know. So it is very entertaining. Sometimes I have to go that way because it is entertaining. I'm sharing some stuff from Camelot on our pages right now. And see, this is the other thing with private property agents and all this stuff. You file for your land, you're creating the record. You have to produce the record when you go to these kangaroo courts. Even when you end up in an Article 3 court, you have to produce the records. And that is the one thing that people are not comprehending. A lot of people will go to court and they think, well, the judge is there to protect me. It's like a cop. A cop is not there to protect you. And if you read the federal court cases, a cop is an IRS agent. His job is to rape you, to steal your money for the mayor, the city council members. Because he sure ain't acting as an honorable man to a constitutional oath. And that's the one thing, too, in your local areas, write a FOIA request, too, that you want a copy of their oath, and you put it in it, and you can type in each state. I know this for a fact. In each state in Oregon, and I know I did this for Linda Pilson, the county clerk, in each state they actually have 2 oaths filed with the states, corporations. One is the Constitution oath, and the other one is the corporation oath. And that is the one thing that people need to comprehend, that they actually have both. This is a fact, folks. So that depends on what they're signing. And this is why when you'll sit there and when doctors or attorneys or people tell you, well, to get a conflict of interest statement, because you want to make sure there's no conflict of interest. It's like I mentioned, elected and public servants, registered church members, immigration. Even by law, immigration are not allowed to vote. But remember, they changed the voting law from what they call the old former citizen, because the old former citizen back in the 1700s and early 1800s had to be a landowner to vote. Go ahead. Is that the kid or somebody speaking up?
Well, that was me.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just coughing.
Oh, okay. So, but I mean, we've got these things in play. I'm putting up the private property agency notices. I'm putting it on other groups too. So this way everybody can sit there and take a look at these things. These are coming from Michael School with Can Law. Citizen Action Network. I wish you would change the Citizen Action Network to large C citizen instead of the low C citizen, but I can't argue with Mike. That's his deal, even though I don't agree with the small C citizens, small C state, or small S state, small counties. So, I mean, when you start stepping out in a movie production here and you start realizing how these things are being portrayed to us, it really is amazing when you start stepping out and you start realizing, how much these things are portraying on us, and we're learning to control these things. And like I said, the one thing is, Southern's group has a way that they've done certification on birth certificate. I did my UCC one. I filed to claim that I own me. I filed in the newspapers and in the public buildings, in the courthouses, in the courts, every court case at the time was going on. I filed I own me, and nobody ever disagreed with me. So that's the way I look at that point, and I'm still here. I'm still filing my other instruments and paperwork. So, I mean, it's just the way you look at things, the way you do things, the circumstances of things. So, you know, we're all learning. We're all doing the same thing. So it is on how we're accomplishing these goals. Well, like I said, right now with this new one, we'll get this one out with a birth certificate. I do start seeing that we're seeing changes. So we start getting these things out where we're getting certified. And I know that some of these senators and House of Representatives, we are going to see resigning pretty quickly because they know why they're in their position. They are more liable if they left. So there is certain deals on that. We got new elections coming up this year for the de facto, for the corporation industry of them. And so seeing that those men and women are going in that direction, you know, we need to advise the people around them of what they are, the truth of them. And a lot of people are speaking up. We are seeing city council meetings getting a few more people than they have in the last few years. I've been watching more and more meetings on the internet. People have been posting because I don't have the ways to get to the meetings, and if I do, it's interesting because you know, I still have the circumstances of the last time being having a gun shoved in my face, telling me to stay out of it, you know, because of what I was doing. So it is one of those things that you know, it's not always living in fear. It's sort of like, okay, I could do more back here than I could do at the city council meeting. They're screwing the people in my community. But of course, I'm filing my paperwork with them, and the newspapers and stuff. So it is getting interesting when you see some of these things that are turning out in some of the mainstream medias, and some of these candidates are bringing things out. So I assume, and I hate using the word assume, but I assume that we're seeing a lot more changes, a lot more people speaking up, standing up, and people are changing. And so, anyhow, so there's been a lot of eye-opening evidence come out too with Gary Hunt and, you know, Ryan Payne and all these other stuff that, you know, you start putting these pieces together with all this other stuff, you know. Of course, you know, we can't forget Blaine Cooper, another crisis actor. So, I mean, it is interesting when you start putting these things and you start stepping out and you watch all these people, and then when these people are going through their process, they're opening up. So, I mean, it is being interesting to pay attention to, you know, the whole thing is knowing who to trust, how to do this, and to protect one another. And so it is getting out there. It is taking time. And, you know, so it is one of those things that when it does take root, people are getting it. People really are getting it. So we can start making these changes. So anyhow, that's where I'm at this point. I know that we have a lot of participants out there that are getting this as well. So anybody else would like to speak?
This is John Fort Worth. I'd like to ask something.
Yeah, floor is yours.
The letter that I've been sending and some other people have been sending to the Chief Justice, U.S. District Court, to Chief Howell, I'm going to send a letter out there. I'm going to check my mail in the morning, make sure I didn't get it response from her, but I'm going to send a letter of acquiescence to her on a 21-day.
Right.
It's the same old thing. I'm going to do it acquiescent. I want to be nice about it, but I'm going to just kind of insinuate that it's my understanding that these may be just going straight into the wastebasket. It costs me $1.21 to send it up there. I do a self-addressed envelope.
Well, don't forget to put a billing in it, too, and charge her for your time.
Well, I hadn't thought about that.
Well, yeah, because not only that, you want to charge her for the post office, you want to charge her for your time, you want to charge her for gas, And if you had to have a meal, you had to charge her for her meal.
Oh yeah, but this is real important. I always put a stamp on it. I never use a meter. And I'm going to register the mail up there with an electronic signature back to me. I don't
Well,
do
actually, you
green
want a
cards.
green card.
I do not use green cards. I use
Okay, why don't you
electronic
use green
signature.
cards?
Why do I? It's a waste of time, and you've got some. There's so many of them I've never gotten back. But if they have electronic signature, you can always see that. You can bring it up. Oh, I lost it. Well, just pull it up on the computer. That's why.
Well,
I got
yeah,
it.
but
$1.35
see,
cheaper.
okay, yeah, no, I comprehend that, but I actually do both. I send it registered and certified. So that way I'm going after to get it both one way or the other. I'm getting it done.
Okay, when I register it, I get a bond number.
Oh, I've got
That's
stuff
my
where
bond.
they've even, my local mail is, my postmaster here has actually got evidence that I paid for to have certified sent to not only me, myself, but the agency. They have actually sent my arrest warrants back from the marshals, United States Marshals, that I wrote and filed. And the marshals got an email. There's stuff that I can't get into. But no, the mail department definitely will snag your stuff. They're doing it to me right now. I've been bringing it up. I have 7 or 9 filings on it right now, just in the last year. That is proven. So I'm not going to sit there and live in fear on it. I mean, I know what I spent, but I'm getting ready to start billing them for everything. Because I've saved the receipts.
Yeah, and I autographed the receipt, and I'm going to send a stamp of there. I have a bunch of upside down airplanes.
There you go.
The Genie, and they came out with them. I got a whole bunch of them left. It's $2. The original ones that were made like that, it's like 400,000. But anyway, I'm going to do that with a 45-degree angle across it. I'm going to put a flag on it. About a year and a half ago, I saw a situation. I'm trying to find it. It's a year and a half ago. I don't have that documentation. Long story short, there was a lady that walked into court, and she had a flag that was starched that she put on her table in the court. And the judge said, remove that flag. She said, no, I'm not. Did it again, second time. No, I'm not going to do it. And third time, said, you need to get out of here or I dismiss your case. But she had a real good starched flag on the table.
Right.
And I cannot find that.
Well, if anybody knows anything about it, we'll try to figure that out, bring it up, and maybe somebody's heard something. Maybe we might get a message from it. You never know.
Okay, I want to ask something else. Does David Wayne Miller have any kind of a copyright or patent on the flag?
Oh, Mr. Miller in Hawaii?
Yeah.
See, that's the one thing. Go ahead.
Does he have a patent or copyright on a certain size flag?
I've heard that he claims different things. I've talked to Mr. Miller on more than one occasion. I've got other people that we've all talked to him. Go ahead.
Anyway, I was wondering about that.
Well, he keeps telling us he's a postmaster general, but when some people, I mean, I've listened to his advice, but then when people have asked him to get involved, then he's charging people, and then he doesn't charge you to talk to you, but I've seen him, people have claimed that he tried to charge him on the other point, but Dave had many conversations with him way back when. We were dealing with him, Dave and I were dealing with him 4 years ago. Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago. And so, we don't know half the stuff that he was talking about. We know he came up with his own sim language and all this other stuff that he's claiming is supposed to be in the courts. but it's totally different than the original history of England in the court system. And England still has a claim on Hawaii. Hawaii is not technically part of the United States of we the people. It's part of the corporation. So you know what I mean on that one, right?
Yes, it's my understanding, this is off subject, that Alaska and Hawaii, the attorneys have a license.
Yes.
Is that true? I'm talking a
They
license.
have a license from the bar, just like all the states do. I
No, I'm not
haven't been
talking
able
about
to prove the
union
other.
card.
Well, see, that's the one thing with Ann Von Reitz. I've asked her in yesterday's email I did out to a group of people, many, many people. I think it was like 100 people. I did this even with Larry Beecraft, who was the one who won the biggest attorney deal and proved the 16th Amendment was never ratified 10 years ago. Okay, and the Congress, I've got the congressional records admitting it was never ratified. So that's the point that we're dealing with that. So when Beecraft came out and said this, then all of a sudden Ann Wright, because Beecraft went after Ann Wright and said she's not a lawyer or judge, and Beecraft is a registered bar attorney, and he'll tell you he's honest. I give him credit on that. And so Ann was writing about how he was telling everybody the wrong thing about her, and she is a licensed attorney. I mean, a judge. So I've emailed out to everybody, and if you send me, I got to find your email, or you send me an email, I'll just turn around and send you what I sent everybody else out, so that way you can see what I put in the letter. Because I even wrote to Ann Von Reitz, okay, well, everybody's claiming that you're not an attorney or judge, and you're claiming you are a legitimate judge. You're not a hearsay judge because you trained, to my comprehension, she trained the Continental Marshals and the Continental judges and educated them. And so she's claiming now that, and she wrote a letter to disband herself from Bruce Doucette and Mike Hamill and all of them. And so, because she's the one that educated them, and then I'm asking the question, prove you're a judge now. You know, you went after all these other men and women and slandered them, and all these guys are in jail, so prove yourself a judge. You're trying to go after Larry Beecraft and my former associate, talk show host, before he had a stroke, Dave Lee Buse. He worked with Larry Beecraft, and I'm trying to remember the other good gentleman that we got out there, Rod Class. So, I mean, he worked with them. He personally knew them. He was at the hearings with them. He was at the court cases, too. So, I mean, you know, when you got people out there trying to claim title and nobility, because, see, I don't want a title and nobility, because a title and nobility, that means you're liable to the crown that's liable to religion. And if you don't do what religion tells you to do by their beliefs and their structure, that's where you end up in the religious court system. I just don't want to be part of it.
Ed,
Go ahead.
Do you know a man by the name of Rocky Hudson, Junction, Colorado?
I've heard of him, yeah.
He was sentenced to 70 months last Thursday.
Yeah. And what was the charges?
I haven't got all the information because I just saw that he was sentenced to 70 months, about 6 years.
Yeah, I know. Wasn't part of that the structure of filing wrongful liens?
I know one thing, that he was in jail for like 19 days and he had like 4 heart attacks and was suing. He did a lot of FOIA letters and acquiescent letters he put in the federal court, and they tried to get him to settle for $25 million. Now, he was on a talk show and I was listening to him say that. He said that it's on 42 action and he wouldn't do it. He said he wanted to go public with it. They said, no, you're not going to go public. Anyway, they'll fear of greed. Now, that's what he said several times on that 42 Action talk show.
Yeah, I know 42 Action talk show. I haven't dealt Actually, I should get some more information over them. I haven't talked to them in a while. But go ahead and finish what you're saying. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Okay, he just said he was sentenced. I talked to him. I paid him a little money to do some documentation for him. Got to know him over the phone. Anyway, I was surprised that happened. I don't have anything else to say.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't had contact with 42 Action Committee here in a while myself. But it is good to review these other people that are out there doing stuff. But like I said, I like to suggest to people be very cautious. I mean, I've gone down different paths where I almost got stung and it would hurt real bad. But you get to pay attention. Because like I said, they wrote it, I quote it. You know, that's what we bring out the stuff. I'm not going to try to lead you down a path that I am not doing myself. That's why I'm setting up and still persistent with like 192 with the House and Senate. You know, I'm not going to go put my UCC and do what other people have done, you know, and I can put my Social Security on it and put the stamp of assessed for value and do all that, but I want to see it through. And that's why when we're putting these letters in and we're getting these responses, like the one letter that came through with California with Representative Mays or Congressman Mays. See, we start getting more and more of these things put out there. We put together a package from the east to west coast. And so we got a package going from east to west coast. So it doesn't matter, you know, who, what, why, and how, but they can see that from the east to west coast, they finally got over this bullshit and going, we have to know the truth about what's going on. We can't sit there and keep arguing about the so-called Civil War and who's got the best shiny boots and the cleanest hat. You like that, right? You know, it's like, you know, there comes a point in history. It's like when they took the flag down in 2015, and a lot of people don't comprehend what's going on with the bankers and what they've done with the new shift of things and what they're trying to claim. And, you know, people want to sit there and argue, and it's like, we're past arguing. Let's get this thing so we know how our bloodline is going to be. So we know if our children actually have a future, or our grandchildren or great-grandchildren, you know. And then there's people like me who don't have children. You know, my two children passed before they even got to be a year old. So it's like, you know, then people say, how do you feel? How can you feel? You can't. There's nothing to feel. There's nothing there. You know, there was no time for emotion gathering. And that's where people don't get it. You know, the weak sit there and panic and do all this stuff and try to bring everybody else down. You know, we don't have time for that. You know, we've got to make sure that these courts are running the way the forefathers set up our Constitution or immigration laws. Go ahead.
Huh?
I said, well, you go ahead and speak if you're going to say something.
Well, these courts are not running that way. They're running military administrative courts. They're not running the real common law courts of the people under the Constitution.
Well, I know, I agree with you. And so when we're getting this information, now we can start filing them because we got the evidence of how to file them administratively. We got the evidence of how to file them by their own rules book. And those things are working. Come on, Mueller is getting ready, and they're panicking if Mueller's going to go to prison or not. And if he goes to prison, that's going to take at least 70 other people in that agency down. Because everybody had to put a stamp on something to cover up something. So, and these things are happening. You know, and I am glad, I mean, I don't vote, I'm not part of the corporation system, but I am glad that Trump got in and what's going on, because if Hillary got in, right now nothing would be going on, and we would be really bad, and we really would be having these men and women pass these administrative rules to come in our house and take our guns. Hillary Clinton would have passed, she would have had the UN right now in her home. And that's what people got to realize.
Ed,
Yeah, go ahead.
I gotta run. Give me a call tomorrow morning.
Okay, yeah, because I think we're gonna end up probably wrapping it up here in a little bit.
Yeah. I gave you something that's for your eyes only.
Okay, and then I got you.
All right.
So,
I'll
and
talk to you
then
more.
we'll get more information out. Now, when we get this flag issue, and then after the flag issue, we're definitely going to be hitting Executive Order 100 on the Lieber Code with the military. Say, once we start doing this, and I guarantee you in time that when we send these things out and we email them to the media as well, we'll start actually seeing media pick up on these things, and you'll have reporters wanting to run their own stories on this. That's fine. I've been there before when they ran off of what I was filing and made something what they wanted theirs. And they were fair about the way they wrote the articles. You know, when I was up at the Oregon State Capitol, I was shocked in 2005 that the Oregonian did a cartoon about me in the political section. You know, this was right after I was forced to put my fiance and the kids on the street by the system, by them. You know, I had to make a choice. Do I want to live, but was I going to stay on my land? You see, I was purchasing land from a private contractor, and I was getting out of their system with the filings, even with what I filed. So, I've known what I've been doing for 35 years. You know, I knew I wanted out of the system, but also, too, I knew a part of the system was lawful. I knew the rest of it was not legal at all or lawful. And remember, legal is federal British administrative rules, and that is tribal Article 1 courts. So, it is simple when you step out of the movie and watch the production. So it's very interesting at times, too. So anyhow, does anybody else got something they would like to throw in at this point? Then I'm going to get together tonight. Please ask people to send me a fresh email too, so I can make sure I got your email so I get this out. Because sometimes it's hard for me to go back over 10,000 emails. Because right now I'm going through another 1,500, hopefully here by tomorrow night or the next night. And then I got to get this out, and then I got to start writing my other structure and start getting the House and Senate served on this one once I put this one together, because I'm looking forward to this. Because we are getting it out. These senators and House representatives are freaking out. I will be getting hold of the medical board of what I'm going through. We already served them and start getting that. I got to get back to risk management for the state of Oregon. I just served them. Apparently, I heard this last Friday. They're supposed to set me up a caseworker now to investigate the charges, which is bullshit, but I'm going to send them the other indictment I'm doing on the medical board and the doctors, because by law, the hospitals are personally liable for the medical staff. I have all that, too. You know, they wrote it. As part of their administrative rules, they wrote it because they had to write it to protect them and ours, to keep us, some of us in their system and the other ones to be protected out of the system. So it is what some would call a conflict of interest, which is true. So with that, anybody would like to say anything else? Okay, well, go ahead.
Good night.
Okay.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, I'll get this stuff out. We'll get this handled. So we got the states going from east to west coast, and the Midwest, Pennsylvania, and we'll get the stuff going through Nevada and Idaho. We start getting responses back on these things. This is what's gonna, let these people put the words in their mouths. One gentleman made it perfectly clear how well that works. Let them put their foot in their mouth. It makes perfect sense, because we all know we got these rights, but let's put it together where they're saying you do have the rights. And then that way we can make sure it's set up so that when anybody else goes back, here's what this individual said on this or that. So it's always like I was always taught, let somebody else put their foot in their mouth before you do. So it's one of those lessons in life. So with that, I'm gonna just go ahead and get ready to get this stuff set up because I got a long night to myself. Getting this stuff out to everybody tonight and to do this. And so I will be getting that out. So with that, I'll be saying, may the Great Spirit open up your heart. May Mother feed you, take care of you, and may the Creator look over all of us.
Thank you, Ed. Just let everybody know, in case you missed it, it's Mother's Day, so if you haven't...
Oh, that's right. Happy Mother's Day. Didn't I say that at the beginning?
You did. I'm just
Okay.
putting my view. If you have a mother that you're actually close with, you might want to call her. If you don't have a mother you're close with, or she's no longer around, think about her, but you don't have to contact her.
Not only that, but if you got one like that, you can always just send her a card and just say hi. You know, sometimes people have arguments. It's nice to do it because without her, you wouldn't have life.
But being adopted, yes, I would. Ha! Anyways.
Oh, yeah, but you're a special case.
Yes, I know I'm special, Ed. All right, so it's May 13th, 2018. It is currently 6:27 Pacific Standard Time, and it is a Sunday, and we'll be seeing you next week on Disclaimers by Ed Johnston at 5 o'clock Saturday, 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this coming up Saturday. Thank you very much, and have a good night.